Emily had always loved Christmas, but lately the season felt like a reminder of everything missing in her life. Her friends insisted she try a Christmas blind date to bring some magic back, but she already knew how it would end. Still, she dressed carefully, put on a warm red coat, and arrived at the decorated cafe glowing with golden lights and cinnamon smells. The moment she entered, she spotted her date, Daniel, scrolling his phone. He glanced at her once, looked disappointed, and muttered something under his breath. She swallowed her nervousness and approached with a soft, "Hi." But his reaction stung more than she expected. Daniel stared at her for a few seconds, then sighed loudly. "You don't look like your picture," he said, not even attempting to hide the irritation. Emily froze, trying to understand what part of her he meant. Hair, clothes, smile. Before she could respond, he waved the waiter and asked him to cancel the table for two. Embarrassed, she stepped aside, unsure whether to argue or simply leave. Other couples around smiled and exchanged gifts, and the contrast made her chest ache. She turned toward the door, suddenly wishing she had never agreed to come. As Emily wrapped her scarf tighter and walked outside, snowflakes landed on her eyelashes. The cold air felt easier to bear than the humiliation inside. She walked toward the Christmas market across the street, wanting to disappear among strangers and lights. Children laughed as they carried hot chocolate, and Christmas carols floated through the air. She stopped near a toy stall, pretending to admire gingerbread ornaments just so she could hide the tears forming in her eyes. But a tiny voice nearby caught her attention. "Are you crying?" a little girl asked gently. Emily blinked and wiped her eyes quickly. The child, around 6 years old, stood beside her, holding a small plush reindeer with mittens dangling from her wrists. Emily forced a smile. "Just a bit tired," she said. The girl nodded seriously, as if she understood more than she should. "My daddy says people who cry at Christmas need extra magic." Emily laughed softly at the unexpected wisdom. Before she could reply, the girl tugged her coat and added, "You look like someone who needs a big Christmas hug." Emily hesitated, unsure whether it was appropriate, but the little girl already threw her arms around her. The warmth of the hug surprised her, melting a bit of the heaviness inside. Then she noticed a man rushing toward them, tall, handsome, wearing a navy coat and looking both relieved and apologetic. "Lila, sweetheart, you can't run off like that," he said. The girl, now identified as Lila, pointed at Emily. "But Daddy," she was sad. Emily immediately apologized, but the man shook his head. "No, thank you for being kind to her." Emily introduced herself, and the man introduced himself as Adam. He gently knelt beside his daughter and whispered something that made Lila nod and skip toward a nearby stall, giving them a moment to talk. Adam explained that they were shopping for Christmas gifts, trying to create new traditions after losing Lila's mother 2 years ago. He noticed Emily still looked shaken and asked if she was okay. Not wanting to ruin their evening with her problems, she simply laughed awkwardly and said, "Just a bad date." Adam raised an eyebrow. "Blind date," he guessed. She nodded. "Christmas edition," she added, trying to make it sound like a joke. "And I was rejected before even sitting down." His expression softened with a mix of sympathy and indignation. "Then that guy is blind in every sense," he said. Emily flushed, not used to receiving compliments from strangers. Lila returned with 2 hot chocolates, insisting Emily take one. "Christmas magic," she said seriously, handing it to her. As they walked through the stalls together, the 3 of them began to feel strangely natural, as if this wasn't a chance encounter between strangers but something meant to happen. Lila skipped between them, telling long stories about school plays and Christmas decorations she planned to fix at home. Adam apologized for her enthusiasm, but Emily shook her head. "It's adorable," she said. And it was. The child's bright energy slowly replaced the disappointment of the evening. They reached a small booth selling handcrafted ornaments. Lila picked up a wooden heart painted with snowflakes. "This one," she said. "Daddy, we need this one." Adam glanced at Emily as if searching for her opinion. "It's lovely," she said. But Lila shook her head. "I want to give it to her," she announced, pointing at Emily. Emily's breath caught. "Me? Why?" Lila grinned. "Because you look like someone who needs a new heart ornament for a new start." Adam quickly apologized, but Emily crouched and hugged Lila gently. "Thank you," she whispered. The moment felt too warm, too special to be accidental. They continued walking, and after a while, Adam asked if she had eaten dinner. Emily admitted she had planned to at the cafe, but that obviously didn't work out. Adam hesitated, then said, "Would you like to join us? We're heading to a little place we go every year." She felt a flutter in her chest. "Are you sure?" she asked. "Absolutely," he said. The restaurant was cozy, with fireplaces crackling and garlands decorating the beams. Emily felt strangely comfortable sitting beside them, as though she had been invited by old friends. Lila insisted on sitting next to her and told the waiter, "This is my new friend. She needs extra marshmallows." Emily laughed, touched by the child's affection. When Adam returned from a brief phone call, he found Lila leaning on Emily's shoulder, and the sight made something shift in his expression. Dinner passed with surprising ease. Adam shared stories of his work restoring old buildings, while Emily shared snippets about her job designing greeting cards. When she admitted her love for Christmas art, Adam smiled sincerely. "No wonder you glow around the lights," he murmured. Emily blushed and pretended she didn't hear it, though her heart certainly did. Lila kept interrupting with comments that made both adults laugh, unknowingly weaving them closer. As they ordered dessert, Lila suddenly rested her chin on her hand and asked, "Emily, do you have a family?" Emily hesitated. "Not nearby," she said softly. Lila seemed to consider the answer seriously. "Do you get lonely?" Emily looked down at her hands. "Sometimes." The little girl's brows furrowed as if she was solving a puzzle only she understood. Then she nodded to herself and returned to her cake without another word, leaving Emily wondering what was going on in her little mind. After dinner, they walked outside into a gentle snowfall. Lila ran ahead, spinning in circles with her arms wide open. Adam looked at Emily. "Thank you for spending the evening with us," he said. Lila hasn't laughed this much in a long time. Emily felt her heart tighten with emotion. "Thank you for rescuing my terrible Christmas blind date," she joked. "Maybe it wasn't terrible," he said. "Maybe it led you exactly where you were supposed to be." Emily wasn't sure how to respond. The warmth in his voice, the sincerity in his gaze, she wasn't used to this kind of gentleness. She felt her cheeks warm despite the cold. Lila came running back and slipped her small hand into Emily's. "Walk with me," she said. Emily squeezed her hand, feeling something she hadn't felt in years, belonging. They continued down the decorated street, admiring the lights that shimmered like falling stars. They reached a large Christmas tree in the center of the market. People placed wishes on small cards and hung them on the lower branches. Lila tugged Emily toward the table where the cards were kept. "Let's write wishes," she declared. Emily smiled and wrote something simple, "To feel loved again." She placed it quietly on a branch. Lila watched her, then carefully hung her own card next to it. Emily noticed but didn't try to read it. When Adam asked what she wrote, Lila grinned mischievously. "It's a secret." Adam chuckled and lifted her into his arms. The scene, father, daughter, twinkling lights, was so beautiful it almost hurt. Emily took a deep breath, realizing something inside her was shifting. She didn't want the evening to end, and judging by Adam's lingering glances, he didn't either. They walked slowly toward the parking lot. Snow was falling harder now, and Lila was getting sleepy. Adam lifted her into his arms, and she rested her head on his shoulder. But when she saw Emily was about to leave, she suddenly stretched her arms toward her. "Emily, can you carry me too?" Emily smiled. "Your daddy is stronger." But Lila shook her head insistently. "I want you both." Adam looked embarrassed but handed Lila carefully to Emily. The little girl wrapped her arms around Emily's neck, sighing contentedly. Emily held her close, feeling warmth spread through her chest. Adam noticed the tenderness in the moment, his eyes softening in a way that made her heartbeat quicken. "She doesn't do that with just anyone," he whispered. Emily swallowed, realizing the moment meant more than she understood. When they reached their car, Adam helped Emily lower Lila into the backseat. The little girl suddenly grabbed Emily's hand tightly. "Don't go yet," she whispered. Emily knelt beside the seat. "I'm not going anywhere," she said gently. Lila stared at her with wide, serious eyes, as if gathering the courage to say something important. Adam watched curiously, unaware of what was coming. Then Lila took a deep breath and said the words that froze both adults in place. "Emily, can you be my new mom?" Emily's eyes widened, her breath catching. Adam's jaw dropped, and he quickly tried to speak, but Lila continued. You make Daddy smile. You make me feel safe. Mommy would like you. I know she would. The innocence and sincerity in her voice pierced straight through Emily's heart. Adam knelt beside them, flustered. Sweetheart, you can't just ask someone that, but Lila interrupted, shaking her head stubbornly. I know what I want. I want her. She held Emily's hand even tighter. Emily felt tears prick her eyes, overwhelmed by the unexpected tenderness. She brushed a strand of hair from Lila's forehead. You're very special, you know that, she whispered. Lila nodded confidently. Daddy says that all the time. Emily looked at Adam, unsure what to say. He ran a hand through his hair, his expression a mixture of embarrassment, awe, and something deeper, something hopeful. I'm sorry, he said quietly. She's honest, and she's right about one thing. Tonight felt different. Emily felt her cheeks warm. It did, she admitted softly. Snowflakes drifted down, catching on their eyelashes. Adam hesitated, then said gently, I don't want to rush anything. But if you'd like, we'd love to see you again. Emily's heart fluttered. I'd like that very much, she said. Lila clapped her hands, beaming. So she said yes, she demanded. Adam laughed. She said yes to dinner again, not to being your mom yet. Lila crossed her arms. Yet, she repeated confidently. Emily laughed, realizing how much the child reminded her of herself at that age, full of hope and certainty. Adam handed her his phone. Maybe we can exchange numbers. Properly this time. Their fingers brushed, sending a tiny spark through her. After they exchanged contacts, Adam said softly, Merry Christmas, Emily. She smiled. Merry Christmas, Adam. Before closing the car door, Lila leaned forward and pulled Emily into one last hug. Don't forget me, she whispered. Emily kissed the top of her head. Impossible, she said. The little girl smiled sleepily. As the car drove away, Emily stood alone in the falling snow, but for the first time in years, she didn't feel alone at all. Her heart felt full, warm, and fragile in the best way. She looked up at the Christmas tree across the street and remembered the wish she had written earlier, to feel loved again. Somehow, without planning it, without expecting it, the universe had answered her wish in the form of a little girl with big dreams and a father with gentle eyes. She touched the wooden heart ornament in her pocket and smiled through tears. Emily walked home with a glowing heart, already imagining the next time she would see them. Christmas lights shimmered above her like tiny blessings. This Christmas blind date had started with rejection, but it led her to something far more meaningful than she ever imagined. Maybe love was not something you searched for, it was something that found you when you least expected it. And this time, it came in the form of a little girl asking the bravest, sweetest question Emily had ever heard.